just like he said there, improvise, adapt, overcome. You have to be flexible in this business. So you have to be prepared for anything that can be thrown your way because it's going to happen and probably several times on the same event or outing or whatever it may be. So I think the most important thing is having a flexibility to be able to change and adapt not only to the times, but also to the moment because something is always happening that is going to throw a wrench into the works. And the better prepared you are to handle that, the better off you're going to be.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Private Club Radio, the industry's choice for news, trends, updates, and conversations, all in the world of private golf and country clubs, from leadership, management, governance, food and beverage, marketing, branding, you name it. We got it all covered. Whether you're an industry professional or consummate professional industry veteran, welcome back. If you're brand new to the industry, then welcome. We are glad you're here. I'm your host, Denny Corby. Welcome to the show. In this episode, I chat with a friend of mine. We've been friends for probably about 6-7 years now, Mr. Ralph Edmonds from over at the Evansville Country Club in Evansville, Indiana. But I met him in Shreveport. I met him in Louisiana years ago, and since then he has made his journey over to Indiana. We talk about how I loved his story because we talked because he started off as a sous chef, sous chef, and transitioned into management and up, and then into general management roles. And he's worked at various high-end resorts and clubs all over the country. And now a quick word from some of our show partners. If you're looking for a way for your club to help attract the right members, stand out from the crowds, and you don't want to advertise, but you want more exposure in the marketplace, then you need to check out Golf Life Navigators. They are the only resource that helps golfers discover, experience, and ultimately secure their ideal club membership and golf community home. They're experts at connecting your club with people who will truly appreciate what you have to offer. It's like eHarmony meets Zillow for golfers. It's amazing. So go give Golf Life Navigators a try. You're going to love the results. If you're interested in learning more, head on over to golflifenavigators.com. It's 2024 and it's time to change the way you vet your new members. Some traditions are worth modifying. The new member process hasn't changed really in the past 150 years, relying almost solely on social relationships and casual interactions, but lacking in factual data. And this is where Kennis comes in, because the traditional application process tells you very little about someone's behaviors and character until now. Kennis has created an innovative and confidential, comprehensive applicant information gathering process that provides an unrivaled depth of information. The world of member vetting has evolved to a new standard, and Kennis is your turnkey solution to meet this new industry best practice. You can rely on Kennis to provide the facts that you need to make fully educated member decisions, because what you don't know can hurt your club and your members. To learn a little bit more or to set up a call, head on over to membervetting.com, fill out the form. You're going to have a chat with Paul Dank. It's going to be good. He's a great guy. Also, be sure to check out our episodes of Member Vetting here on Private Club Radio. And now, Private Club Radio listeners, let's welcome Mr. Ralph Edmonds.
Probably not in the beginning. My first country club job I took in 1998 as a sous chef. My first club job was in 94, but my first country club was in 98. I was hired on as the executive sous chef at Pine Hollow Country Club, and about 10 months later, the executive chef, who was Steve Vando, decided he was going to move into an AGM role and then move in to try and become a general manager, which he did. That really started the, hey, maybe I could do this too kind of train of thought.
Gotcha. And you've had a mix of, because currently you're at Evansville in Indiana, yep. Then you were Shreveport. So, and a lot of resorts before that, and like resorts, high-end types of places. It was a few hotels, yeah?
Yeah, back in the early 90s, right after I got out of the Army, I was with the Sheridan Park Avenue. I was part of the grand reopening team of the St. Regis. I worked at the Hotel Pierre.
Okay.
So yeah,
And somehow clubs just sucked you in.
yeah. Once I got into Pine Hollow, then another manager, Jerry Sherhammer, who was the assistant GM at Elmwood Country Club at the time, he took a GM job at Columbian Country Club in Dallas and asked me to go down there. So, which I did, and then I wound up working with Jerry at three different properties. So we worked together in Dallas, we worked together in Maryland, and we worked together at the start in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Gotcha. So that was going to be one of my next question is, because I was doing my research and digging around and I saw you were popping around a bit. So I was going to say like, oh, were you following like another club professional? Cause like sometimes that's how it usually works is like, there's like a little like group. So I wasn't sure there.
Yeah, somebody goes somewhere and you get this call like, hey, I think this might be a good fit for you too, whatever. So yeah,
I gotcha. And you did a small run by me in Pennsylvania in Allentown.
I did. Yeah, it was Fogelsville, a small, very high-end B&B, which was, it's really a fantastic property. 150 acres, only 37 luxury suites. We raised cattle and hogs on the property, so we used those on the menu. Um, really, really a great place. It just wasn't the right place for me.
Yeah. I, would I would it be safe to assume it was a little too slow paced?
No, I mean, sometimes when you're dealing with single owners, it's a little interesting, we'll say. So, like, I was hired
Gotcha.
on as the EC, and the second day I was there, I became general manager slash EC.
Say no more.
Yeah.
Say no more. All right. All right. So, because to me in my head, I was thinking about, you're doing all these resorts and beautiful places. And then you go to, like, I'm not saying it's not a beautiful place, but you go to some place like this, only 30 rooms. In my head, I'm like, oh, maybe it was like a slower pace and was a good fit, but say no more, fam. Uh, so how'd you get into cooking? Like, why cooking? Why food?
I started young. I mean, my mother was a short order cook at diners around New York, and she was either working in the front of the house or the back of the house. So I mean, there's pictures of me as an infant in a playpen in a kitchen. So, coming from an Italian family, the cooking is just in our blood. So it was really ingrained for me from a young age. I always loved it, and it's just a career path the way it took me.
Gotcha. And so I've known you since Shreveport.
Mhm.
And was that was that like one of the first major GM gigs there for you?
Yeah, I mean, I was a GM for a short time. I left clubs for a little bit in the mid 2000s and went to a
How
resort.
dare you?
What's that?
No, I'm kidding. How dare
Yeah,
you? No, I'm kidding.
but went to a resort as a GM in their steakhouse and opened up. Also worked with one of my seafood vendors and tried to just gain a little
That's
bit
cool.
more experience outside, which I knew would help me in the long run. But yeah.
Oh no. Oh, definitely for sure. No, that's a really good perspective and being able to leave that and because you probably created some different relationships, learned more about maybe some outside vendors and things and
Yeah, so
got
I
better at
viewed
like
it as more
negotiating and all that.
OJT, right? So, a lot of on-the-job training, a lot of, self-teaching and, putting myself in situations where I had the ability to pick up different pieces of information.
Concert Golf Partners is changing the game one club at a time. Since their inception in 2001, they've been on a mission to preserve and elevate private clubs, pouring capital into enhancements that matter. But what sets them apart? These aren't your run of the mill operators. They are a dedicated team with a passion for enhancing the private club experience, both on and off the green. It's their commitment to maintaining the club's unique identity while executing strategic improvements that boost the overall experience and financial health. With Concert Golf Partners, your club gains access to a network of enhanced properties, reciprocal play privileges, and a future free from the burden of debt and outdated facilities. They're not just building better clubs, they're crafting lasting legacies for members and communities alike. If you'd like to learn more about Concert Golf Partners or recapitalization or learning how your members will have no more assessments, head on over to concertgolfpartners.com, set up a confidential call with Peter Danula, and that's it. Simple as that. Also, be sure to check out our episodes of Board Chats here on Private Club Radio, brought to you by our friends, you guessed it, Concert Golf Partners. Who was I just talking to? Pretty much just about that. But it was in terms of like, with my background in like magic and entertainment, it's early on, part of the, I don't want to say the training, but it's encouraged. A lot of people don't do it, but it's like sort of different in this, but like put yourself in bad situations, meaning like, go perform in a spot where you're not a good fit, or where like the conditions aren't great. Like go see if you can perform that in a corner room without a sound system, no
Right.
microphone, and have people like almost behind you. So similar, like different, but like the same, but just like, you put yourself in different scenarios, different situations, just so when you do come up into something, it's not like a surprise. So basically, yeah. OJT, on the job training, just a difference between a chef and a magician.
Yeah, it's funny because we often talk about tenure and staying with something and doing it. But really, on the high end side, my first executive chef at the Sheridan Park Avenue, Mike Stafford, he said, Ralph, you should move every 6 months and learn as much as you can from as many people as you can to help you develop your own style. And, at some point in your career, that needs to change, and you need to be tenured and you need to be stable. But early on, I think it's so important for you to be able to not become stagnant.
No, and that's clear, through like your experience and what you've done. I think was one of your longest stays at the Shreveport Club.
Shreveport Club, Columbian Club in Dallas. I was there for about 6 years. So yeah, those two were probably the longest. Here in Evansville is hopefully my last stop. This is it. I'm going to try and stay here and into retirement, and we'll hope that happens.
What are some differences between Shreveport and Evansville, Indiana?
Outside of the weather, um, it's really there's a lot of similarities just because they're two small cities. They're both the third largest city in their respective state. So we face similar challenges, right? There's not a huge labor pool when you're in a smaller place. Your resources are lessened if you're in a smaller city. So a lot of times your deliveries are coming from, hours away. And those hours, unlike in New York, are not driven by traffic, right? These are driven by miles. So when when you're facing that, it's hard to, we have a mispick. All right, we'll get it over to you in 20 minutes. Like, no, we'll see you tomorrow. So those are
Yeah.
some of the challenges of a small city. And then in the recruiting part, regardless of the ad you put out, you get the same 30 or 40 resumes every time.
Here comes Bob again. do you watch the show Parks and Rec?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. There's like this one dumb episode where these two let's just say less than stellar employees from the like fishing game, or like whoever goes and gets like the stray animals or whatever, and they get fired, and they both show up to like the interview for like the same job, but they don't like realize like, oh, this is the same job. Oh, we're in the same place. So just
And the worst part is we're like, yep, you're rehired.
You've been in the industry a while. How has the industry changed in your point of view over the past, let's just even say 15 years, 20 years?
Technology is of course the biggest change on the things that we can do, and those aren't always necessarily uh, great from an operational standpoint, right? We've gotten all this technology, and when I was a a cook or a chef or a sous chef, I could place orders until midnight or 2 a.m. or something. Now our chef here, he's got to have his orders in by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, oh, thank God for technology.
Yeah.
Those things
Yeah.
are challenging. And then there's an expectation, especially in clubs with your membership, right? Because they want you to continue to grow and change with the times. And then you've got to figure out, the financials of that. And sometimes that doesn't always, translate in the board meeting.
Yeah. Here's a question, and I think I'm going to phrase it right. Don't take it the wrong way. You went from chef to GM. Now you're a GM at a
Mhm.
club. Is there any do you see that as a demotion? Like, how do you, because I think different people take different things certain ways. So to you, is it a strategic move? What sort of move was that, and what sort of feeling is that? And like, is there any, like, so is that a, I guess, demotion to say, which I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but like, going in that sort of like realm.
It's
um
100% accurate, right? So one, there's no bad career moves, right? They're all learning experiences. And so part of it, and I'll start by saying Shreveport Club was a city club. So I've been out of country clubs for 6 years, basically, before coming back into the country club world. So taking this role gave me an opportunity to get back in, reacquaint myself with the sports aspect of it. And, that was very important.
ah
But I was also hired on here. Gary Shetler, who's our general manager, has been here 40 years. He's retiring in June. So my
four
hiring
zero
was a succession plan.
40
For,
40 years.
yeah. Yeah, he's a unicorn.
40.
Yeah.
My, what did the dude open the club? Did he build it with his bare hands? My
Essentially, because he
goodness.
started in '84 as the superintendent, and he was in that role for 25 years, and then he's been GM for the last 15.
Damn.
So this
Wow.
gave me an opportunity to
Gotcha.
work with him, pick his brain, really get some institutional knowledge, and hopefully um, expedite the success that I could have here at the club.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I only asked that because I'm having like another similar conversation with somebody else I'm recording in a few weeks, and when this airs out, I don't know how it's all going to come out, but it's just like a similar thing, just because it was, I overheard some managers talking at conference about it, and just got me like thinking. So now anytime I see, I don't want to say like, like ups, it's not an up and down. I don't see it as a demotion. I'm the same way. It's like, everything's a learning experience, but always interested to see how people feel and interpret and take different things and situations and stuff. But no, oh, gotcha.
It's that
And
we only have, you know, 5,300 clubs or whatever it is in the States, right? So there's only
yeah,
5,300 jobs. So, I mean, something has to be available. It has to be the right fit. If you take something that's not the right fit for you, it's going to be evident pretty clearly, pretty immediately to you, to the board, to
yeah.
the membership. So you got to find the right fit. You have to find the right pieces because that, a lot of that's why we have such a short tenureship in, as a GM is because sometimes we're just trying to take the role instead of maybe finding the fit.
Which is sometimes hard to
Yeah.
do, because it's got to be difficult, especially when there's clubs or places where they're like, oh, we would love to have you, but you just know, you're like, I know you'd love to have, but it's not a good fit. Like, I just don't think it'll be good, and sometimes that's got to be hard.
Well, it's a challenge. You're sometimes faced with, what do I do? You got to take care of your family. You got to do this. You maybe have, come to a different path with your board, and they're going in a direction that you don't want to go in. Um, so you're trying to figure out a whole slew of things at one time, and you don't always have all the time in the world to make the right decision.
Yeah, yeah, gotcha. So what's on the horizon for you in the club? Tell us a little bit more about the club. How many members you have? How long has the club been around? Uh, Give us some scoop.
Yeah, so Evansville Country Club has been here since 1900, so we are going to have our 125th anniversary next year. The
Wow.
club just finished a major renovation on the golf course. A lot of that was done, completed June of last year. Course is phenomenal. Really,
What did you guys do to it?
they reworked a lot of the greens, moved over to pure distinction, a hybrid turf for the greens. Redid some of the
Hmm.
fairways, the bunkers. It was about $7 million. Bo Welling was the architect. But I mean, we've had nothing but rave reviews, and it's only going to get better as the turf sits. Jeff Sexton, our
Did you
greens.
do anything with the?
Go ahead.
Sorry, did you do anything with the irrigation and stuff?
Yeah, I'm sure that some of that was done. We still have work to do for sure. Clubs are always a work in progress. The
Yeah.
next project's going to be halfway house. We'll have some clubhouse work budgeted here coming up in the next few years, and then we'll be right back on the course again. But we also put in new pickleball courts, redid tennis. So um, just there's so many positive things going on, and the membership is fantastic.
How many memberships do you have?
750.
Are you on a wait list?
We're we're right there. So that's always a blurry line on yes or no, because you want to be
Yeah.
able to accommodate folks, but you also don't want to overcrowd the facilities.
Right. Well, which is why I asked. I was like 700. I was like, what's your capacity? You must be fairly close, maybe. I was like, I don't know how big your place is, but
Yeah, I mean,
wowza.
our golfing memberships are down around 410, so we're pretty close to full at on our golf memberships.
Gotcha. Gotcha. What's your demographic life like of your club in terms of like age? A little bit younger, a little bit older. What's Evansville like?
Yeah, I think like most clubs in the last 15 years, definitely trending, downward in age. So we're getting younger, a lot more families. We have a kids club for childcare. I think a lot of clubs have gone to that over the last 10 years or so. Um, but definitely trending towards the younger side, younger families, growing families. So, we need to expand, how we provide service for those folks because it's different.
You're talking to a club manager who's, I don't know, mid 30s, going through their career. What's some words to the wise for them?
Oh, you ever see Heartbreak Ridge? Clint
I
Eastwood?
have not.
Oh,
Mm-mm.
just like he said there, improvise, adapt, overcome. You have to be flexible in this business. So you have to be prepared for anything that can be thrown your way because it's going to happen and probably several times on the same event or outing or whatever it may be. So I think the most important thing is having a flexibility to be able to change and adapt not only to the times, but also to the moment because something is always happening that is going to throw a wrench into the works. And the better prepared you are to handle that, the better off you're going to be.
My man. I know you have a wonderful ladies event, golf event starting soon.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for your time, sir. Be the first of many, I'm sure, but you have a fantastic day and I appreciate you jumping on with
You
us.
too, Denny. I appreciate it. You have a great day.
Hope you all enjoyed that. Thank you for coming on the show, Ralph. Always love when we chat and our paths cross. If you're enjoying the content, one thing you can do to help us is like, share, subscribe, give a rating, give a review on any of the platforms that you are consuming the content on. It means the absolute world. You can sign up for our newsletter. Head on over to privateclubradio.com. Until then, catch you on the flippity flip.